Roger Wicker, Republican senator from Mississippi, in an interview with Politico, said he was puzzled and disturbed by Pete Hegseth's comments regarding Ukraine. He said, quote, I don't know who wrote the speech. It is the kind of thing Tucker Carlson couldn't have written, and Carlson is a fool. We'll be interested to see what Sean in particular has to say about that in just a moment. We've seen now President Trump, Vice President Vance, Secretary of Defense Hegseth, and Marco Rubio all talk about Ukraine, and they've said contradictory things about NATO, about U.S. troops, and clearly there's movement going on. And Donald Trump, of course, talked about meeting with Putin, and he's talked to both of the leaders. Dan, are we verging towards not a deal on the first day, but a quick deal, or is there gonna is this gonna go off track somehow?
I think we are going towards a deal, but I think what's amazing is just, and I read basically Marco Rubio and JD Vance as close to a like do-over and we made a mistake, or Pete Hegseth made a mistake as you get, because they both basically tried to walk back and say, no, we're not going to take off the table troops. We're not going to take off the table helping to enforce the peace. And for a guy who, likes to say he's master deal maker, art of the deal, what Hegseth said basically gave away almost half the bargaining chips. I mean, it was stunning to a lot of people. It was frankly almost incompetent if you're going to try to be the middleman here. So I think we are getting closer. I think Ukraine wants a deal, Russia wants a deal, Trump wants a deal. So when everyone wants it, you usually get it.
Sean, are the contradictory statements and the walkbacks, are those screw ups, or are those some method to the madness of trying to sort of put everything on the buffet and let people choose which items they want?
I think it's a lack of coordination, if I had to guess, that the president saw some of those comments. I mean, I agree with Dan. President Trump doesn't like to often communicate options. He likes to keep things on the table and say, that I want to be able to negotiate those things. What Pete said for the most, I mean, look, to be honest with you, we all know the dirty secret. Ukraine's not getting into Ukraine. There's going to have to be some kind of cut deal with the land. We get that, but you're not supposed to say it out loud. And and so I think that's the point here. But what it seemed to me, only because JD contradicted him shortly afterwards on the troop stuff, that this is just was not as coordinated. This is early growing pains.
Yeah,
Well,
I
and
tend
to
to.
call the Wall Street Journal and basically for JD Vance to give an interview to the Journal overnight on top of Senator Wicker's comments. I mean, to me, Trump will never say, we made a mistake or Hegseth made a mistake, but that to me was as close as we need to clean this up fast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was literally I mean, you can see Trump being like, why did he say that? And
yeah.
then JD being like, I got it.
I
Well, and
generally
Mark,
go.
Mark,
I
you said
generally
yesterday,
yeah.
like
Go
the
ahead.
lack of like criticism of or dissent. I mean, I want to just be clear. Wicker's comments are stunning. To say that a Department of Defense secretary that basically said like he screwed up and this is,
I bet, I
mean, you
bet,
don't see.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I bet he thought he was off the record. That's my spidey sense on that one.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mark, because look, here's the deal. Number one, to regardless of what you think, the idea that you would go after the sitting SecDef as the chair of the Armed Services Committee is not something that you would do lightly. And two, I got to be honest with you, dragging Tucker Carlson into a debate that he wasn't part of, not
Yeah.
smart. Not
No.
smart.
So I'll just tell you, if you're at one of these conferences, and I've never had the pleasure of going to the Munich conference, but I've been at comparable events. If you're at those things, and even if you're a media savvy senator, and no disrespect meant to the gentleman from Mississippi, but I wouldn't put him at the top tier of the most media savvy senators, you think you can say stuff to reporters like in the bar or in line for coffee, and it's like just chit chat. And then the reporter says, no, there's no such thing as chit chat. I bet that's what happened. I'm just speculating. On the other thing, I generally, in almost any circumstance, if there's something that seems messed up in the government, I generally go with it was a screw up. It's not some master plan. But what Hegseth said is it's just too basically wrong, right? I mean, it's too big a screw up. So it's not like to me, it's not like lack of a coordination on an obscure issue. It's just like weirdly counter to, again, as Sean said, what Donald Trump would want. So it's probably just a lack of coordination, but it still strikes me as a lot. I want to read you a line that our friend Michael Granoff, who's watching JD Vance in Munich, or maybe he saw this somewhere else, but this is a line from the JD Vance speech, which I believe Sean in particular will enjoy quite a bit. All right. This is if you want a time capsule, a JD Vance quote to say, what is his mindset towards woke, the world, America? This is just a classic. If Americans can survive a decade of Greta Thunberg scolding, you, meaning Europe, can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
That's a
Awesome
good one.
quote. Awesome quote.
That's a good one.
All right.